Welcome to Inheritance Example Part 1. Now we're going to start building this inheritance example for our veterinarian. And we're going to start off, I've opened Visual Studio and we will click on New Project and we'll just open a new project and we will call this Inheritance Example. Just like that. And then I'll click OK and we'll let this open this up. Now what we're going to do is we're going to build these three classes, animal, dog, and cat. We're going to look at how we can use inheritance to save us an awful lot of code and provide the very same functionalities across all three of these particular classes and the objects that are instantiated from them. So we're going to start off just like always on our form. We're going to drop a couple of buttons, or just one button actually. Just use that to kick it off and instantiate our objects and so forth. And so we'll jump into the code behind here. And what we're going to do is go to the Solution Explorer and we're going to start off, and we need to add a class or two in here. We're going to add, first of all, the animal class. Okay, and so this brings up the class window. You saw what I did there. If I went too quickly, right click on the project, go to Add, and come down to Class. Okay, and we're going to add animal.cs, and then we'll click Add to add animal in there. And now what we're going to do is start to add some functionality. Now for the animal, we've already talked about we needed a public void check-in, right? And we're going to do a string, and we're going to do a pet name parameter and an integer pet ID. Okay, and then of course we would put some code here, right, to give us whatever functionality, connect to the database, do whatever. Then we want to do a vaccine check. We want to check to make sure that that animal has a vaccine, right? And so we're going to do a string pet name, right? And then we're going to do an integer pet ID that we'll pass in there. And then of course we'll put some code here. Then let's jump down and do one more method inside the animal class. We'll do another public void, and we'd have returns and more in here. But for now, we'll just check the balance, and we'll do a string, and we'll put the owner's first name, and then string owner last name. And we might want to later go by social security numbers or something. But for now, we're just making a simple example. Okay, so we put code here. Now that's our animal class, right? Everything looks good there. So we're cool with that, right? So now let's go create our dog class. All right, and so we're going to right click on our project. We're going to go to Add, and we're going to add another class to our project. And this one, we'll do it a little bit differently this time. We'll just do dog, okay? And we'll click Add here. Now, with the dog, we need a lot of the same things that we saw in the cat class, right? Well, or the animal class. So we could go into the animal class and just copy all this code to keep from having to retype it. And I'll just right click and copy this. Then I'll go back to Solution Explorer, right? And I'll go back into the dog class. And in here, I'm just going to paste all that code in, right? Then the one unique thing that we had on the dog is the dog, we want to check for heartworms, right? So we're going to do a public void check heartworms, and we'll get string pet name int pet ID, just like before. And then of course put some code here to connect to the database and do whatever it is that we need to do. All right, and if I'll put a space here, I'll get rid of that squiggly and take care of my fat fingering that's going on. Okay, so that's the dog class, right? So let's save all this so that we have it. And then real quickly here, let's go add a cat class. So I'll right click this and we will go to Add Class, and this time we will do a cat class. Just like that, we'll hit Add, and just like in the dog class, we need those same check-ins and all those things in the cat class. And then we're going to put a method in here in the cat class for hairball treatment. Okay, so we'll do public void hairball treatment, and then we will put our string pet name, and then we'll do our integer pet ID, and then we'll open and close, and of course our code here. Now, I've done a lot of typing here, and you've had to sit and watch, and I apologize for that. But this is the way you might think you would need to do this, because when we go back to our form and we start thinking about instantiating these objects, well, think about this. If we do animal A equals a new instance of the animal class, right? And we hit A and we want to see all of the things we can do. Well, notice with an animal, we can check the balance, we can check them in, we can do a vaccine check and so forth. And I'm going to leave that right there for just a moment, and let's go do a dog class. And so when someone brings a dog in our interface, we would actually be instantiating a dog class, and we would do it like this. And when we hit the D, we'll see check balance and so forth. But notice we also have check heartworms. But remember, we put the same methods in the dog class, right? These same three that we did in the animal class. Now, inheritance can take care of this duplicated code for us. So we're going to end part 1 here. Join me in part 2, and we're going to implement inheritance and fix this mess.